Right. Well, I mean, there's seats in here, so I mean, there's two seats right there, there's a seat there, but once the seats are all full, then we'll have to stand outside. Yeah, I'll let somebody else do them.
Oh yeah, we can sit all in.
That seat open?
You guys ready? You guys ready?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Good evening. I would like to call the Monday, July the 13th, 2026 Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. Mr. Hathaway, would you please lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag?
Yes. Please stand and bow your heads. Our Father, we thank you for this day and the opportunity to gather together in service to the people of New Kent County. We're grateful for this community, its history, its families, and all those who work each day to make it a better place. We ask for your guidance and wisdom for the members of this board as they deliberate and make decisions that affect our citizens. Grant them clarity of mind, fairness in judgment, and a spirit of cooperation and respect. May their actions be guided by integrity, compassion, and a sincere desire to serve the common good. We also ask your blessings upon our county staff, first responders, educators, and all who serve our community. Protect them, strengthen them, and encourage them in their work. As we conduct the business before us tonight, may we do so with patience, civility, and a shared commitment to the well-being of all. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Ms. Watkins, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Evelyn?
Here.
Mr. Moyer?
Here.
Ms. Pearson?
Here.
Mr. Steers?
Here.
And Ms. Stewart?
Here.
Thank you. Before we
Mr.
get...
Chair,
Oh, excuse me.
I was wondering if I could bring something up for a couple of minutes that's been weighing on me heavily. And I just want to apologize ahead of time for not bringing it to you before the meeting because I wasn't 100% sure I was going to bring it up until just at this moment. So I would like to propose a motion that will protect New Kent County until the data center ordinance can be put in place. And I was wondering if you would allow me to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Find it here. I have it. I know I do. Like I said, I wasn't sure whether I was going to do this or not. Okay. I move that the Board of Supervisors state its strong policy preference that no new data center conditional use permit applications be filed or voluntarily advanced while the county develops appropriate zoning standards for data centers and related facilities. Acknowledges that there are no pending data center conditional use permit applications before the county as of today, and directs staff to communicate this position to prospective applicants to the extent permitted by law.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Ms. Watkins, would you call the members?
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Motion passed. All right, as I was saying, that's okay. Okay, that's good. Couple changes to the agenda. One is I would like to move the residency administrator's report ahead of the citizens' comment period because Philip Frazier is in charge of, I think, 5 counties, and a lot of the stuff that's discussed here doesn't affect him. And then secondly, I would like to pull from the agenda is presentation 12B. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Board, you've had a chance to review it. You got any changes or additions or anything?
Mr. Chair, I just have a question for Mr. Hathaway on the consent agenda on the Children's Services Act MOU. Is that the same MOU as was executed last year? Or are there any? Okay. And last year, did we have any issues recovering the funds in a timely manner according to the contract, or is everything okay with that?
You're correct. This is the same agreement that was adopted last year with a few minor changes. The contribution for Charles City is increased, as well as the point of contact for the CSA director formerly was the county attorney. I believe in this agreement that's been changed to the social services director. And we did not have any issues with collecting Charles City's contribution last year.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. And for the record, for those that care about the social services work, this allows us to assist Charles City with their work. New Kent is constantly recognized for the good work that our social services department does, and I think this is just a testament of the demand, and if we weren't good at what we did, there wouldn't be the demand. So if nobody else has any questions, I'll move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Go ahead. Accept it. Ms. Watkins, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. All right, next on the agenda is the Residency Administrator's Report. Philip Frazier. Good evening, Mr. Frazier.
Good evening, Mr. Steers, members of the board. Philip Frazier with VDOT. Appreciate you guys having me this evening. First thing I want to do, I think you had the maintenance report. I'm going to give you a couple highlights, but the first thing I'm going to do is introduce a new person on our team. My back left is Joshua Hampton. Josh is going to be our new maintenance operations manager for New Kent County. If you remember, Jeff Allgood previously held that role. He's still going to be in that role for the residency, but he'll be moving to the western part. So of those 5 counties, Mr. Steers, he'll be in charge of Goochland and Hanover. So Josh will have New Kent, Henrico, and Charles City. So really excited to have him on our team. Want to give a couple, or touch a couple highlights maintenance-wise. So mowing, it's obviously been pretty wet and hot recently, so we have kicked off our next cycle of specialty mow. That had an NTP of today. Our secondary tractor mow, so all of the secondary system gets mowed via contract services. That had an NTP of last Monday. I rode down dispatch this afternoon and noticed that that's where they started, or were at least today. So you'll see some tractors out mowing shoulders and ditches. Our primary mow is complete. That was our second cycle of primary mow. Want to give a quick update on the gap for anybody that may be interested. I'm not going to go into great details, but just schedule reminders because everything is tracking on time. Gap A, so that's the 205 to 215-ish mark. That is scheduled for completion and is tracking for July of 2027. Gap B, which is 215 to the 224-ish, that is scheduled for a June 2029. So we're a couple years away from that one. And then Gap C has a fixed completion date of November of 2027. So over the next few years, you'll see Gap A finish next spring, Gap C finish next fall, and then a couple years after that, you'll see Gap B be completed. Along with that, you have the 211 interchange. There was a public hearing for that last week. I was unable to attend. I was at another board meeting. I understand it was well attended, and I just want to remind folks that if you do have comments, you can share those with the department up until this Friday on July 17th. And that project is expected to have a fixed completion date of the end of 2029, and it's going design build. Last project that I want to just touch on real quickly before I answer any questions is the roundabout at 155 and Kentland Trail. That one is expected to go to advertisement this September. Okay, single season construction project, so we would expect it to be finished sometime next year. This is, of course, as long as bids go well. So,
All right.
with that, I'll take any
Thank
questions.
you, sir. Any board members have any questions? Ms. Stewart?
No question. Just thank you, Mr. Frazier. I appreciate you working through the long list and helping our neighbors, where we need to. And I know the people of District 5 are really, really happy with all the filled potholes. And I'll send you my next list of potholes to fill, I'm sure, very soon. Just thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Ms. Stewart.
Ms. Pearson?
On my way here, I drove over the other side of the bridge.
Oh, you
at
are
211.
so right.
It was very smooth sailing, I have to say. I hope it stays that way.
This is the second month in a row that you've reminded me of something I forgot to mention. I also ran over the brand new side of the bridge.
Right.
Yeah, so happy to see that shift happened.
Yeah, and I just have 2 other items.
Yeah.
So Route 618 always needs some TLC, especially the paving near the road shoulders. It's crumbling, and it has potholes. It's down on the other side of the dump. And then the gentleman in the second row right there talked to me at the public hearing, and he had a question about the southern end and paving near the shoulders of the road deteriorating on 106 because of the truck traffic taking that route when the interstate is backed up. And I also wanted to know, is the expectation that in conjunction with the diverging diamond interchange are improvements for the rest of 106 to Route 60 being planned? And if not, could we put in for that?
So I think the answer is no. There is no additional project expected on 106 going towards Route 60. We'd be happy to kind of work through what kind of improvements the county may be interested in along that corridor. I know that we did a study a few years ago along Route 60 that recommended some turn lane improvements. I believe it was at the intersection of 106 and Route 60. That concept is still in our possession, and it identifies what the right-of-way impacts are. It was a cost estimate that is current 3 years ago, maybe not current anymore, but the need may still be there. So there's a basis for starting not from scratch, I guess, but beyond that, along the Route 60 or 106 corridor, would probably require some type of study and analysis to determine what is really necessary as far as a construction improvement project goes.
Where do the improvements for the diverging diamond interchange end?
Where do they end?
Where do they end going towards Route 60?
Yeah, so it's before you even get to, I think, Love's. It's right around like the Love's truck stop.
Okay.
I could get the full project limits for you and share that, but it's about, I don't know, 500 feet to 1,000 feet on either side of the bridge.
It might make sense to do that in conjunction at the same time.
To do, and what's that?
To make some improvements all the way to Route 60, because I imagine even when that is put into place, if there's issues on the interstate, that
Sure.
the trucks would still go to 60.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I want to be clear, though, the scope is pretty confined to the interchange and the diverging diamond, and that is what the funding is really allocated for. So when you start expanding scope, right, you get scope creep, and we start considering things.
And I'm not talking about anything major, so this is something I'll get with Ms. Inman about.
That'd be good, and be happy to be a part of that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore, you have anything?
To add to that, one of the things I learned last week at that meeting was it would go 4 lanes to James Burrell Road. That's where it ends, and that was something I didn't know where that would end, and that was a good point by Ms. Pearson. The other thing is a little bit down from that. We're going to be having trucks taking right and left turns out of Target in the near future. So that's going to be one area that probably turning lanes should be thought of. And we can take this up at Central Virginia Transportation Authority too, and also then down at 60 where we should have some turning lanes also. And that could be a regional project that would benefit a lot of people.
Yeah.
So everything else is good in my district. Okay, thanks.
Understood.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Allen?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for responding to the email. I was just on a constituent I had on Steel Trap Road. I was just wondering if you had a chance to get out there. I know I just sent it to you the end of last week. I know we have issues with that residence every time we get a hard rain every year or so.
Yeah, so I talked to Phil Taggart, our superintendent over there on Friday. He was actually finishing up some of the work out on, I think, was it Newtown Road?
Yeah.
They were doing that on Friday, finishing it up a little bit today. But he did go out there and he identified there's a bunch of leaves that come off of those trees and get in the ditch, and so he said he was going to send someone over there, likely this week, and kind of pull the leaves out of the ditch and get
And I did get a call from a couple of residents on Newtown Road, so thank y'all.
Did you?
Yes.
Good.
They were very happy with
Okay.
the work that's been done, so I appreciate you jumping on that.
Great. Well, just so you know, I'm not sure where they are with the patching. They were going to do some heavy mechanized patching, and that's typically done with the motor grader, and then they will likely be coming back in the
They're
next
just
couple
happy
weeks.
to see somebody out there.
Yeah, sure. But they're going to surface treat it to kind of give it that nice clean finish. But
Yeah. And I traveled across the 106 this morning on one side, and when I came back from work coming over here, I was on the other side.
Wow,
So
look at
looks
that.
looks really good. That's all I have. Thank y'all.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evelyn. Mr. Frazier, I attended the Transportation Safety Commission meeting last week, and I had several things I brought up. My question is, Josh, he's going to be new in New Kent. Well, he's not going to be replacing Mr. Taggart, is he?
No, Mr. Taggart is still our superintendent for the New Kent area
Okay.
headquarters. Josh is the maintenance operation manager, so
Okay.
he's responsible for, it's either 4 or 5. We have 9 area headquarters total. We have 2 maintenance managers that cover 4 and 5 of them.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Because I know that a couple of things I brought up in the meeting, I think Mr. Taggart had them corrected before the meeting was over. So
That's pretty
he does
impressive.
a great job. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you. I appreciate it, and safe travels back to Hanover.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you,
it.
sir.
Have a good evening.
Good evening. Next on the agenda is the continuation of public hearing on ordinance 0-09. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Next is a citizen comment period. Has anybody signed up? Thanks, Mr. Moyer. Thank you. Okay. I think you guys will understand why I let the residency manager go ahead. First person that signed up is Judith Harris, and I would ask that when I call out your name, if you'll come to the podium, state your name, your address, and you have approximately 3 minutes to speak. Judith Harris.
I better move this down a little bit. Hello, I'm Judith Harris. I live at 7370 Pine Fork Road, Quinton, Virginia. I wanted to thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. I better leave the glasses on. Excuse me. I suggest that the Technology Overlay District, TOD, and data centers not be approved by the New Kent County Board of Supervisors for our county. I have 4 points. 1, since our county's establishment in 1654, New Kent County has survived intense hardships throughout the Revolutionary and Civil Wars, when the future of our nation and our county were uncertain. Our county records were destroyed by fire in 1787 during the colonial era, in 1862 during the Civil War, and again in 1865. New Kent County still continued onward. It didn't stop us. New Kent does not need a data center to survive or flourish. This is a truly resilient county. I expect nothing less in the future. Virginia is home to more data centers than any other U.S. state. Northern Virginia handles roughly 70% of global internet traffic. New Kent County will have access to AI capabilities, as it does now, without having a data center within its borders. Accessibility to AI is not an issue. Water is the fluid of life. It's a powerful quote from the U.S. Navy veteran Faye Crosley, whose last civilian post was with the National Weather Service in Wakefield, Virginia. We need to protect our groundwater, above all, for the health of our citizens and our future generations. Data centers pose a real threat to our wastewater resources in New Kent County. Strict restrictions need to be specified in the New Kent County Municipal Code to protect our water from data center use. In 2010, the New Kent Water Supply Plan, prepared by URS Corporation of Virginia Beach, Virginia, It states, New Kent is not confident that the additional groundwater sources will be able to meet future demands. This was from 2010. This report used a population of 17,109 New Kent County residents. Today, our current population is approximately 29,000 residents. I Googled it. Didn't use AI. We already have groundwater limitations and have had them since 2010, and you're probably aware of that. Data centers should never have access to our groundwater reserves, even if the availability of reclaimed water falls short of their needs. And data centers, excuse me, should never be allowed to release their treated water into our local streams or rivers. For some reason, this treated water, oops, sorry, I didn't get the chance to finish. I guess I'll have to go.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
Oh, wrap it up. Okay, really quick. If the treated water is truly clean, why can't they use it in their closed loop systems? And why would it be safe to dump into our rivers and streams? The last part, number 4, approximately 78% of New Kent County falls in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, which is restricted by the Chesapeake Bay Protection Act. This act addresses the effects of land use, planning, and development on water quality. I, like other New Kent residents, do our part as required to save the bay. We have our septic tanks pumped out every 5 years to prevent leachate into the Chesapeake Bay. Last thing, please vote to protect our county, our water. Use caution when rezoning. Save the bay. We are resilient. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next person signed up is Aaron Marion.
All right. First name Aaron, last name Marion, Merrion, address 10416 Deer Lake Drive, New Kent, District 1. I know you all may be disappointed that Mr. Joyce is not here tonight, but while he's at scout camp with our son enjoying the hot weather, I'll just share a few opinions and questions that he and I both share. First, Mr. Evelyn, I wanted to thank you for your support on the Bridging Communities program in support of the Governor's STEM Academy. There's currently a massive skills gap in this country. There's 7.5 million unfilled skilled labor positions in the U.S. that don't require a 4-year degree and that AI cannot replace. So I appreciate your support on that. Second, I wanted to give the supervisors the opportunity to clarify their positions on everyone's favorite topic, the TOD and the data centers. To provide context, the Board of Supervisors voted for a study done by the Berkeley Group, paid for by the taxpayers. We all know that 87% of the surveyor or the people that took the survey were not in favor of data centers. The study carried a tremendous amount of external validity. In layman's terms, that basically means that the sample size and data analysis strongly represented the remainder of the population. Usually you only need about 200 participants for a good study, and we had about 750. And then with a 95% confidence interval, that means that the answers to the survey were scrubbed for any inconsistencies in participants' answers that could have skewed the results. So my question for the board with those statistics published is, under what conditions would you vote yes in favor of data centers against the wishes of 87% of the county? And more specifically, what would be the motivation to support the data centers? During the town hall, I posed a question to the elected officials regarding ownership interest or affiliation to property within the boundaries of the TOD, to which Mr. Evelyn and Ms. Pearson replied no. As a follow-on to that question, wanted to ask, do any of the board members plan to use currently owned property, owned either as an individual or affiliation with a company, to accept data center proposals on land owned by yourself or a company to which you're affiliated? Finally, Mr. Evelyn, you mentioned that at the town hall that you were against by right data centers. Final question is, if you are against by right data centers, are you for or against data centers that are requested under conditional use permits, special use permits, or within TODs? And that's all I have.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next person signed up, Paul Johnson.
Good evening. Thanks for y'all's time. Paul Johnson at 5801 Good Hope Road. All right, so I'll get into this now. All right, so all five of you have now said that you don't support technology overlay district, and we are thankful for that. We just want to say that. Thursday night's town hall, we also learned that county staff is working on data center ordinances. I think those are both positive steps for the county. But I'd like to ask one more thing from each of you. Please give citizens a seat at the table while these ordinances are being written. 87% of the people who have answered the county's own survey said they oppose the data centers. FOIA emails also show that county staff has talked with data center companies, and promoted New Kent as a possible location for data centers. So I think citizens who have spent months researching the other side of this issue should be included in the ordinance writing process too. People who are worried about our land, our water, our homes, our power bills, and our neighbors. The county has staff, the county has consultants, developers have the chance to be heard. Citizens should be the same. Not just for 3 minutes at a microphone after the work is already done. We want a part of the process. I also want to be clear, we're not asking for ordinance that simply tells data centers that where they can build. We're asking for strong rules and discourage large data center developments and protect the people who already live here. The comprehensive plan talks about the community's vision. Well, 87% gave you a pretty clear answer to their vision for New Kent doesn't include data centers. So will you create a citizen group that includes people who have publicly opposed data centers and let them be part of the writing of these ordinances? And will you put protecting New Kent citizens first? That's it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next on the list is Jeff. Is it Chalk? Chalk. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, Jeff Chalk, 6435 Langley Lane in Lenexa, obviously District 3. So to start off, I'd just like to touch on the comprehensive plan as being a vision for the community. I work in the federal government, and when we have these types of multi-year plans that are outlooks that shape a vision, we actually don't leave them static for periods of time. In fact, we actually revise them, especially with regards to the budget, every single year. So every year there's a new 5-year plan that we put out. So it's good that we have a 2025 plan. The problem is I believe it doesn't really mention some of the current issues, and that would probably be useful if we actually revised that more frequently with community input. Now, as avoiding the topic of environmental impact of the data centers for right now, those types of places have to refresh the technology and infrastructure every 3 to 5 years-ish. Mostly government, we say 5 years, but as far as the infrastructure is concerned with tech, it's about 3, in order to keep pace with the changes and advances in the technology. Now, it's likely that there's a high possibility that any future data centers would be consolidated at more central locations for some of these businesses, such as Amazon consolidating all of their data centers to the Dulles corridor, for instance. The costs for that tech refresh could very well exceed the cost of new construction for a data center. In other words, it's actually cheaper for them to actually consolidate and abandon locations, in which case those locations, such as ones that theoretically could end up here, could be abandoned for tax write-offs or quit claim to the county. In any future ordinance, I would think it very useful or good for the county to protect itself to include some sort of high-dollar surety bond in order to protect the county in the event the facility is decommissioned, abandoned, or otherwise needs some form of remediation, such as returning the land to its original condition. The ordinance should also define and codify what services and activities are specifically taxable at those locations, as well as delineate any services or infrastructure for which the county is responsible. Additionally, the ordinance should, given the developments in Wyoming last week, include a bond or of some sort for responsibility of the owner or operator of the facility to cover environmental cleanup If you're not aware, there was a spillage, I guess, into the local water system that actually introduced a rare and harmful bacteria. They've apparently gone and cleaned that up, but of course that it was at certain amounts of cost. I believe that would be all for my comments right now. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, sir. Next, Carol LaRochelle.
Good evening. Carol Rochelle, 10,500 Pocahontas Trail, Providence Forge. The recent survey conducted by the Berkeley Group and authorized by this board showed that 87% of the 741 respondents were opposed to data centers in New Kent County. The Berkeley Group spokesperson further stated that this was a strong response for a zoning survey, the strongest they had ever seen. At the recent D1 and D3 town hall, the D1 supervisor stated, "I will go on record tonight that I am comfortable with New Kent not implementing the TOD. Also, I do not support data centers by right in New Kent County." At the same meeting, the D3 supervisor stated, "I will not be supporting the TOD, and later at this juncture, I'm not in favor of data centers." Neither supervisor stated emphatically that they were opposed to data centers in New Kent County. While citizens are pleased that the TOD appears to be dead, it is troubling that only 2 of the 5 supervisors have publicly stated their strong opposition to data centers in general. The 87% opposition rate in the recent poll, authorized, bought, and paid for by this board with taxpayer dollars, is a clear indication where the citizens of New Kent stand on this issue. So why are the other 3 supervisors not aligned with the citizens? I urge the board to take a vote tonight to formally kill the TOD process, and I urge District 1, 2, and 3 supervisors to publicly state their strong opposition to data centers in New Kent County. Thank you.
Okay. Next is Meredith Rose.
Good evening. Meredith Rose, 14360 Stage Road. I would like to address the board about the comprehensive plan. Page 10 notes that the plan is a document that outlines a community's vision for its future development and growth. This is a document that is supposed to cover the next 2 decades. It is concerning that it was just approved last year, but it didn't address the concerns of data centers. Per state code, and as noted within the plan, this board is only required to review it every 5 years. This is the plan that guides the development of our community. With the rate of growth in our community and technology advancing daily, I would like to ask this board to consider setting a standard to revisit the comprehensive plan on a more frequent basis to be more responsive to the growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Lane.
Hi, thank you. I'm Debbie Lane. 6324 Farmers Drive. I spoke the other night at the town hall meeting, and I'm still against data centers. I do live on a road that is close to the data center. I don't know, wherever you all want to put them. And I don't know anything about the laws or anything like that. I just know my house is very close. And I do not want data centers in my backyard. And that's all I have to say about that. I also have a comment on the roundabout on 33 and Farmers Drive. There are so many tractor trailers that drive on Farmers Drive in that area. And I go down there quite frequently, down at that end. I live 2 miles from that. There, the tractor trailers go 2 by 2 both ways. I can't see how a 4-lane roundabout can handle all the tractor trailers that drive from 64 to West Point and beyond. It just doesn't seem feasible. all we need is a turn lane for the people that want to turn from West Point onto Farmers Drive. A simple turn lane. That's it. Roundabout is going to be very, very dangerous with all the tractor trailers driving down that road. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Justin Goodman. I'm sorry. Goodman. Justin Goodman.
Where's the timer at? Awesome. Do you have that available for the citizens to be able to watch? That'd be great. So we can, that would actually probably a good thing so your citizens can like gauge how, they present their information to you. I could always just go off this timer, but, or my phone. So that's okay. So 3.5 minutes, I'll do that. My name's Justin Goodman. So I came to tell you all some really important information in regards to Dominion Energy, a perpetual lie, and it's time to end. So I was visiting Dinwiddie Sports Park with my family on November 11th of 25. We park under the transmission lines because that's where the county has built their facility. That's where they have you park. We get out of our vehicle. The lines are popping really loud. We go to shut the door, and we actually get electrocuted. Something called induced voltage. They know all about it. I encourage you to ask Dominion Energy about it. Needless to say, how this works, you're going to have like readings that you get with a Gauss meter. I encourage people to get it. It's all online. Transmission Line Disclosure is my Facebook group. I go all over Maryland and Virginia. I'll be in Virginia Beach tomorrow, Dinwiddie next week, Prince George. So like this is really happening. Tobacco spent 50 years, perpetual lie. This must happen, like this might be a Virginia thing big corporations do. So they got busted for racketeering in 2006. I'm telling you, Dominion's day will come. The SEC is supposed to safeguard us from transmission lines, and they're the ones that permit. Well, guess what? They're permitting these things next to people's houses. These things wouldn't even be built in most first world countries in Europe. That information you'll see online as well. You can check it. We're talking 300 to 600 meter setbacks. All y'all probably have NDAs with Dominion. We'll get to that, and I mean, y'all might already know that. I'm finding that everywhere. So, you can't really comment about it, which is really disgusting. I'll tell you, our infrastructure is literally toxic and poisonous to us. We are energy beings. We have energy going through us. My son's here. If no one believes me, he has a lightning bolt on his finger from when he slammed the door. The reason he got it worse than I did, it's called SAR, surface absorption rate. Dominion knows all about it. So induced voltage, that's what happened to us. Let's talk about that. There's an OSHA report. You can check it. It's on my group. Induced voltage can travel from transmission lines to metallic objects. The report is 180 feet, severely injured a electrician. He was hospitalized for 11 days. Back to when we got hit. So we get hit. I got a non-voltage continuity tester because I'm a realtor. So I get in my car. I'm like, man, what's going on? So I push the button. It starts beeping. I go out to the middle of the field, really confused with what had happened to us. And in the middle of the field, we're talking, 300 feet away from these transmission lines. I hold the button. It's going off. So I go and I'm like, I go to the guy who's taking score. I say, dude, this is not cool. What's going on? He tells me I've been here 10 years. Every time I move the soccer goals, we really get shocked. The reason why the soccer goals aren't grounded, Dominion knows this. There's no grounding rods in the soccer goals, which is why when they move them, they get shocked, which means kids get shocked. So if you all have any parks in here that have transmission lines, this is like serious. They cause cancer, data centers. Y'all are going to know all about it. God bless America. I love people. That's it, right? You're cutting me off, I'm assuming.
No, I'm not cutting you off. But your time is up. But also, I need to get your address. You didn't state your address.
Sorry. 15201 James River Drive over in Prince George. I'm going to send you all of that information. I did a podcast. The news won't do it, but this is real. Electrocution, induced voltage.
Thank you, sir, for your comments.
Transmission lines. You need them for these data centers.
Next is William Smith. William M. Smith.
Good evening, everyone. My name is William Mark Smith. I live at 4240 Holly Fork Road in Brownsville, New Kent, Virginia. My main concern is the work I've been doing to see a park recreation facility in the eastern part of New Kent, District 5. I did surveys, I did petitions, I talked to a lot of people. But all I hear is we're working on it. Last meeting, the people were talking about what are we going to do with the money? Do we give it back to the people? Do we give it to the fire department, sheriff department? Or what are we going to do? Also, New Kent County school system has a swimming program and nowhere in the county to swim. They talk about building a new school, but they haven't included a swimming pool, anything necessary for the students that stay in the county. You know, I don't agree with that. New Kent is a large county and people are coming in every day. We also, in District 5, do not have a permanent place to vote. I don't know what the county plan to do. And I have a few notes, but also this logo, what do we call it? The sign said New Kent, a good place to live, work, and all of that play. You got a horse, you got a golf course, you got wineries, and look like it might be a river. Is this a river? We don't have any access to the two rivers running through New Kent. No public access. People got to go outside the county to take their boats. I don't have a boat. I don't have that kind of money. But it don't make sense to have a river in the county and you can't go to it. That's all I have right now. Also, one more thing. We do not have a permanent voting precinct in District 5. The county can do better. All I said is Proverbs 19:14. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And that was the last of the citizens' comment period. So hello?
My name was on the list. I don't know why it wasn't called.
Yeah, actually, myself and my wife were also on it. Andrew Car Marshal. She probably signed the wrong sign.
It's not on the sheet, sir.
Probably.
It's not on the list. Yeah, go ahead and call. All right, well, since you signed up on the public hearing list, we'll let you speak then, okay? All right, thank you.
I actually didn't have a speech planned. I'm sorry, my name is Melissa Samperry. I live at 2950 Kent Hill Lane. Again, didn't really come in here and planning to speak, but I am here to speak because the good Lord led me to be here today. To give you a little bit about myself, I am a resident of New Kent for 24 years. I am a graduate of VCU. I majored, I have a master's degree in real estate, School of Business, and majored in real estate. I've taken courses in environmental management, land use planning. I currently work for the state of Virginia, and I've worked for the state for 13, 14 years now. I manage the real estate portfolio for various executive branch state agencies throughout the state of Virginia. As far as the temporary overlay district, again, the Lord led me to be here. I don't know enough about the TOD to speak on it, and maybe that's a statement in itself. I know you are faced with the decision today of, voting on this or postponing it. Again, I don't know enough about it to really speak on it, but I do know about data centers. There's obviously everyone's familiar with the data centers that are being built in Henrico County, QTS. A lot of the employees at that data center are not from Virginia. They are out of state, and they're employed by unions out of state. They are also destroying wetlands, and in the process of them destroying wetlands, they have to replace those wetlands. So most recently, I received a public notice about QTS purchasing mitigation bank wetland credits as it relates to a property that's nearby me that was previously a pond that's now being filled in to create wetlands in order to offset the wetlands that are being destroyed in Henrico County. So if a data center comes to New Kent County and we're full of wetlands here and destroys our wetlands, then what? Whose backyard are they going to create the next wetland in? The gentleman a few moments ago spoke about transmission data lines. I also received a notice from Dominion regarding the transmission data line projects. And again, it is all tied to, my power's been fine for 24 years. I have no issues with my power going out. Why do we need transmission lines above ground? They're currently underground. I have no issues with my power going out. What happens when the transmission lines are above ground? And yes, you do receive, as the gentleman mentioned, frequencies from that. I think there's more studies that need to be done. And again, I'm here because the good Lord led me to be here. I'm glad I came. I'm glad I took this moment to speak. And I'm glad I was able to listen to my fellow constituents speak. And I think together we can all make New Kent a better place. It's a beautiful place now, and I just want to make sure that it stays that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, your name was not on the...
There were two lists up there.
Well, we have a public hearing on a couple things coming up, so...
Our vote is no, and we're here because we don't want data centers.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we're going...
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
in light of all of the comments on the TOD, would you allow me to make another motion?
Yeah, I mean, what is your motion?
Okay. I move that the Board of Supervisors declare that the draft technology overlay district as proposed is no longer the policy direction of the board. It should not proceed in its current form. I further move that the board direct county staff in consultation with the Planning Commission to discontinue further work on the technology overlay district as a framework for data center regulation. Is there any discussion on that?
Thank you. Any discussion?
Just a question. Is the citizen comment period over?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion on Ms. Pearson's motion?
Actually, additional question. With the motion, is planning staff still directed to draft the ordinance? And when should we expect an update on that? And what's the frequency of update?
I would definitely still want the ordinance to go ahead, a draft ordinance with the parameters that we outlined, plus all of the input. We've been getting a lot of input from citizens, and we appreciate that. And I think that planning staff is gathering all of that information. I would think in a chart of some sort, and I would be in favor of that moving forward.
Okay.
That's it. Mr. Chair, I mean, we're in the same position we were in in April. Do we have a deadline for when we're going to have that ordinance done, or no? Or is this just an idea still?
I gave them 2 months. I thought we would have a draft at that point, and then put my vision for this would be that we would have a draft at that point, and then we would share that with the citizens and get the feedback on that draft. Perhaps have some community meetings like we had planned to have on the technology overlay district, and move forward that way. I would think that a reasonable goal would be an adopted data center ordinance by the end of the year. And with my first motion that I made at the beginning of the meeting, we would not entertain any applications for a data center until that's in place.
Yeah. Our goal is to have a draft to you at the September work session to comply with the original guidance that was given to us.
And is our planning staff drafting that draft, or who's working on that?
Our planning staff.
Okay. And are we going to be, is it just we do this today and then we don't hear anything until September, or are we going to be I would like a weekly update of how the ordinance is coming, so I can, relay it back to my folks that are interested and invested in it, but didn't know if we have a determined frequency like that set.
If that's what the board would like, we can provide that.
Okay. You might want to restate your motion and include all that. Well, it was kind of jumbled up, so yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay, I move that the Board of Supervisors declare that the draft technology overlay district as proposed is no longer the policy direction of the board and should not proceed in its current form. I further move that the board direct county staff in consultation with the Planning Commission to discontinue further work on the technology overlay district as a framework for data center regulations, but to continue with the directive to prepare a draft data center ordinance for review by September with weekly updates. Okay.
Excellent. Does everybody understand that? Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the continuation of public hearing on ordinance 0-09-26. Mr. Hathaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. We've received notice from the applicant that they would like to request a continuation of their application until the August regular meeting. That will require action by the board to accept their request for a continuation.
And Mr. Hathaway, how many extensions have we given these people?
We've given one thus far.
One thus far. So this would be the second one?
This will be the second.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to continue the public hearing on ordinance O-09-26, application ZM-01-26, Pine Fork Ridge until 6:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as possible on August 12th, 2026 in the boardroom of the County Administration Building.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Motion passed. Next on the agenda is the resolution R-30-26. Our Financial Services Director, Mr. Richard Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The resolution you have before you is to amend the FY27 budget in the amount of $1.3 million in support of the purchase of a new fire apparatus. As you remember, over the last two meetings, first the June regular meeting and then the June work session, the board had been working to figure out how to obligate photo enforcement monies received in FY26 via Resolution R-25-26 R1. The board committed a portion of that $4.8 million to the support of purchasing a fire apparatus. This is the formal budget action to allow the budget to be amended and for fire to move forward with the procurement process for a new engine. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Any questions for Mr. Lawrence?
Mr. Chairman, if not,
Yes, go ahead.
I move to adopt Resolution R-30-26 appropriating $1.3 million in committed fund balance for the purchase of a new fire apparatus.
Thank you, Mr. Evelyn. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Motion passed. Next is Resolution R-31-26 to amend the fiscal year 26-27 budget, approving committee fund balance appropriations in the amount of $1.6 million. Financial Services Director, Mr. Lawrence.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Similar to the last resolution, the board also committed $1.6 million to various sheriff's capital projects. We've been working with the sheriff's staff to kind of figure out what in their 5-year CIP they felt were needs they could move forward with these funds. Again, the board committed that $1.6 million. There is a little bit more on the back end of this one, and that is related to funds that were previously appropriated that will be carried forward into FY27. Still photo enforcement monies, so it's all the same, revenue stream, but just a little bit more than the committed portion, but still the same revenue amount. As you see on the resolution, there are 6 items listed there. We have a mobile command drone vehicle, an upgraded drone fleet, a personnel carrier, a search and rescue boat, along with all the accessories and equipment that it would need to be operational, 2 all-terrain vehicles, and a crisis negotiation vehicle. I believe the sheriff is here this evening. He can go into the details a little bit better than I can, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on that.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Any questions from the board members?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to move to adopt Resolution R-31-26, appropriating $1.645 and $50 in committed fund balance for the following projects as listed on the paper.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer.
You're welcome.
Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I know you took having the Berkshire logo on the elevated water tank. I was wondering, is that going to come back up?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here we go.
All right, next on the agenda is the budget appropriation of $130,000 to YMCA of Greater Richmond. Mr. Hathaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The request before you is for the appropriation of $130,000 to the YMCA of Greater Richmond, Virginia, to fund conceptual and schematic design services for a proposed YMCA facility in New Kent County. These funds will support cost modeling services, will also support cost modeling services and fundraising assistance. The proposed location for the facility is a property surrounding the New Kent Visitors and Commerce Center. However,
The services funded through this appropriation will help determine whether the site is suitable for development or if an alternative location should be identified. The goal for this project is to construct a full-service YMCA facility that would include amenities such as an aquatic center, gymnasium, fitness area, and community meeting rooms where a variety of programs, activities, and services can be offered to residents of New Kent County. Please find the revised motion in front of you. This motion amends the motion in your meeting packet to state that the appropriated funds will come from the Colonial Downs Reserve for Future Projects line item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Any discussions?
Say, Mr. Chair, I was just going to say, I think this is a culmination, and Ms. Pearson and Mr. Moyer, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a culmination of discussions that have been ongoing with the board and the YMCA for some time as a result of having no place to go for all of the things that you listed, including before and after school for kids and the swimming pool. As we do this, and this is something that I think is good for the county, while it's still 30 minutes from District 5, I think it's good for the county, and I would hope we will consider the same, if not more money going into planning for McKemmy Woods in the future. Because I know we have the land. We know we have the land. It's not a concept that we have the land. But I will happily support this and just ask for consideration of something on District 5 ends of the county, because all these people will then come out and support positively. So,
thank you.
Mr. Chair, on that note, Ms. Stewart, I know Plan RVA was looking at that at the park, and they were going to develop some plans, I thought. Do you know where that's at in the...
Our Parks and Rec department put it on the back burner last year for some other projects that have come up, but while we still have the chair position in Plan RVA, it's still on one of our top priority lists for me personally as the chair, and me personally on the board with this being in my district. So.
And our Parks and Rec will be on the agenda for this month's work session too, and they plan to discuss McKemmy
Oh,
Woods.
good. I would support that. So.
Yeah, and I would just like to add, I mean, for the last 10 or 12 years, I've pleaded with Kim Turner, our Parks and Rec lady, and I have begged her to try to figure out how to get a swimming pool in this county. We are surrounded by water. There is nowhere you can take your kids, let them learn how to swim, unless you just take them out and throw them out in the river. Most people don't want to do that. So, you know, I think this is great, but I think most of this funding is going to be by fundraising. Am I right?
Yes.
That's actually the next step that I proposed Thursday evening, is that we start a huge fundraising effort, get the kids involved from the school as well.
Right.
I think it can really bring our community together. I've already had a lot of outreach from residents, not just in District 3, in all districts, to reach out to me to want to get involved in that. So I think that's a way to bring us all together. And I don't know when the next meeting is scheduled, Rodney, or Mr. Hathaway, I know you'll set that up. So
It all depends on the action tonight.
Well, that being said, Mr. Chairman, I move to appropriate $130,000 from the Colonial Downs Reserve for Future Capital Projects line item to the YMCA of Greater Richmond, Virginia, for architecture and design services involving the planning of a new YMCA facility in New Kent County.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Motion passed. Next on the agenda is the Resolution R-29-26, Circuit Court request to order referendum on the imposition of an additional 1% local sales tax for school and capital construction projects. Mr. Hathaway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Before you tonight is Resolution R-29-26, which requests the New Kent County Circuit Court to order a referendum for the November general election on the question of whether New Kent County should authorize to impose an additional 1% local sales and use tax dedicated exclusively to school capital construction projects. Recently enacted Virginia laws authorizes counties and cities to seek voter approval for the additional 1% sales and use tax. Tonight's recommended action does not impose the tax. Tonight's recommended action is not an endorsement or show of support for the tax. It only asks the circuit court to place the question before the voters so they can decide whether to authorize the additional 1% sales and use tax as permitted under Virginia law. If approved by the voters, the revenue generated from this tax may only be used for eligible school capital projects, including the construction, renovation, and financing of public school facilities. The funds cannot be used for school operating expenses or other county purposes. Based on current estimates, this additional sales tax is estimated to generate approximately $4.1 million annually. These revenues would provide a dedicated funding source for the county's planned elementary school project and other future school capital needs, while reducing the reliance on local real estate taxes. Approval of this resolution begins the legal process established by the Commonwealth. If the board adopts the resolution, it will be forwarded to the circuit court, which will issue an order placing the referendum item on the November ballot. Should the referendum be approved by the voters, the board will then consider a separate ordinance to implement the tax in accordance with state law. Again, tonight's action is not a show of support or endorsement of the 1% sales tax. It simply puts the question before the residents. In summary, Resolution R29-26, again, simply provides citizens of New Kent County the opportunity to determine whether this funding option should be used to invest in the county's public school facilities. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway. Any questions from board members?
Mr. Chair, I just have one question. Mr. Hathaway, is there any additional cost associated with putting this on the ballot?
No, because this item would be taken up during our regular election period, so I don't see any additional cost being borne because of this being cost.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Moore, or Mr. Evelyn.
Have y'all looked into how much is the potential revenue that would be? I mean, so I guess if we do approve it and it goes on the agenda, I know it's probably putting the cart before the horse, but is there any idea what type of that 1% revenue would bring?
$4.1 million annually, which will solely cover what we had set aside for the construction of a new elementary school. That would not only cover the financing, but as you remember, we proposed a 30-year debt schedule, and that's what we've based our budget on. We could shorten that to 20 years, which puts us more in line with our financial policies if the referendum is approved. Also, one important key point is if we fund school capital projects with real estate taxes, as we have done in the past and as we proposed with the elementary school, that is 100% borne upon the landowners of this county. By using another option, such as the sales and use tax, we estimate that between 30 or 40% of that tax revenue is received from people that do not live in this county. So it's an opportunity for others to share in the county's capital needs.
Mr. Chair, I think I heard you say that this would help us with our being in compliance with our financial policies, which is one of the things that I've had angst with when we talked about the two capital projects last year.
That is correct. And I'm going from memory, but I believe I have this right. One of the main areas where we're going to fall out of compliance is we have a policy that within a 10-year period, we would be 50% through our debt, and we fall out of compliance by almost 14 years with our current schedule and our current plan. If we use the local sales and use tax, we're only out of compliance for 3 years.
And Mr. Hathaway, please stress to the citizens that if we pass this, it will be a referendum this November, and they can vote yea or nay, right?
Yes, yes.
So,
and that's all we're doing tonight is determining whether this question should go before the public.
right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt Resolution R 2926 to request the New Kent Circuit Court to order a referendum on the imposition of an additional 1% local sales and use tax for school capital construction projects.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Motion passed. All right, next we have a public hearing. Mr. Silva. Patrick Silva, how are you?
Not too bad, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Alrighty, so good evening, members of the board. For the record, my name is Patrick Silva, Principal Planner with the Department of Community Development's Planning Division. And this evening, I'll be presenting for your consideration a rezoning request that was submitted by the Curtis Group, Inc. Mike, could I go to the next slide? Thank you, sir. To rezone 3 parcels identified collectively as tax map parcels 36-37A, 36-38, and 26-83B, totaling together approximately 342.85 acres, which are currently zoned a mix of A1 agricultural, I&D industrial, and EO economic opportunity to entirely EO economic opportunity in order to enable the subsequent development of the site with a mix of commercial and light industrial uses. Can I go to the next slide? So a little locational context first. The subject sites themselves are located in Lenexa, bounded on the north by Route 249, on the south by Route 33, and tax map parcels 36-37A and 36-38, the 2 largest ones that you see there on the screen, primarily front upon Route 33, while tax map parcel 26-83B, a 2-acre parcel, fronts upon Pamunkey Church Road. The image in this slide will also provide an indication of the existing zoning designation breakdown of the sites. So on the south there for 36-37A, it's entirely A1, while 36-38 is a mix of EO and industrial, while 26-83B is also A1. Can I go to the next slide, please? So some key details regarding the proposal. Again, the intention behind the applicant's pursuing of this rezoning to entirely economic opportunity for all of those properties I just identified is, again, to enable the subsequent development of the site with a mix of commercial and light industrial uses. In addition, it's important to note that voluntary proffers, including architectural design standards, enhanced transitional landscape buffers, and restricted hours of construction have also been offered by the applicant in tandem with the rezoning requests. And I'll speak a little bit more to those proffers here in a bit. As an additional point of background, the applicant did hold a community meeting on May 5th, 2026 in the boardroom here of the County Administration Building to present and discuss the rezoning request with neighboring property owners and New Kent residents at large. Residents in attendance inquired about and expressed concerns relating to topic areas including potential impacts to Pamunkey Church Road, possible undue large building heights, power load needs, landscape buffers around the site, and implications of possible future data center development at the site. On this final note, and because staff has received a number of points of public input expressing similar concerns. I did want to make a point of highlighting that approval of this rezoning request this evening would by no means authorize or provide any sort of approval for data center development at the subject sites, as additional application, submission, public hearings, and ultimate Board of Supervisor approval would be required for any such uses. So, Mike, can I go to the next slide there? To jump in. This slide shows the concept plan that was provided by the applicant, which shows how the future development is proposed to be configured. So pursuant to the concept plan provided, shown here on the screen, the applicant is proposing two separate north and south land bays of the envisioned development without an internal point of connection between them, each with their own means of ingress-egress to Route 33. So the north land bay of the site is proposed to be developed with 4 commercial outparcels fronting 33. So these could be things like retail shopping establishments, restaurants, that sort of thing, as well as 2 large light industrial style buildings measuring 625,000 and 666,000 square feet respectively. This portion of the site is proposed to be served by 1 full movement driveway and 1 right-in, right-out means of ingress-egress to Route 33. Now, the south land bay of the site is proposed to be developed with 2 additional commercial outparcels fronting 33, as well as 6 smaller light industrial style buildings, all of which measure between 35,000 and 170,000 square feet. So this portion of the site would be proposed to be served by a continuous green T intersection to Route 33. And the rezoning request, actually, could I get you to go to the next slide as well, Mike? I think there might be, oh, never mind, you can go back one. We'll jump into that green tea in a moment. The rezoning request, in any case, has been reviewed by the county's interdepartmental review team, as well as by VDOT staff at the state level. So now I'll move into providing a synopsis of the feedback received as part of this interdepartmental review of the rezoning application. So now you can go to the next slide. So first up, in their review of the rezoning request, the Department of Public Utilities commented that they are in general agreement with the calculations and conclusions of the speculative utility analysis provided with the applicant's application. They also noted that the utility layout plan provided should be considered conceptual at this time. And in addition, based on their preliminary review, a second connection to the sewer main in 33 would be required for the buildings served in that southern land bay. And other layout changes may be requested during the future site plan review should the rezoning be approved. Finally, they also commented as a point of note that while utility operating costs were not specifically called out in the analysis provided, annual sewer pumping station operation costs and depreciation are estimated at approximately $60,000 annually, with the highest of those costs experienced near the end of a pump station's useful life, approximately 15 to 25 years. Additional utility considerations would be reviewed and addressed at the individual site plan submission and review stages. Next slide, please. Regarding traffic impacts, the traffic impact analysis provided by the applicant with their application estimated traffic generation volumes for each of the respective land bay and each of the respective land bays, as well as trip distributions overall at full build out of the site. These sites can be, it's a little bit hard to read those small numbers on the screen there, I'm sure, but these figures can be seen on the slide currently on the screen, which does estimate approximately 2,090 weekday primary trips generated by the North Land Bay and approximately 1,631 weekday primary trips generated by the South Land Bay, with the vast majority of trip distributions, approximately 70% of all those trips, being to and from 64. Could we go to the next slide there? Thank you, sir. Based on the Warren analysis, roadway capacity analysis, and projected trip generations conducted as part of the TIA, the following graphic highlights the recommended transportation improvement conclusions made within the TIA. So this does include, as I was alluding to earlier with the concept layout, a full movement driveway and right-in, right-out driveway for the North Land Bay, as well as a full movement driveway with continuous green T intersection, or another approved VDOT alternative for the Southern Land Bay. It is worth noting, as part of those voluntary proffers I mentioned earlier, the applicant has proffered the construction of those improvements identified in the TIA as part of Proffer 11 in the voluntary proffers they submitted. Next slide, please. So an example of that green T intersection can be seen here, and it's essentially an intersection design where one major street direction of travel, the sort of top side of the T there, in this case, that would be going north, where the one side of the major street direction of travel can pass through the intersection without having to stop at all, and the opposite major street direction of travel is typically controlled by that traffic signal. Left turn vehicles from the side street use a channelized receiving lane on the major street to merge onto that major street going the other direction. Next slide. Now, in their review of the TIA report provided by the applicant, VDOT staff did indicate that they are in general agreement with the methodology and findings articulated with the report. However, VDOT staff did request a number of minor clarifying revisions to the TIA. A revised TIA has been submitted by the applicant and is currently under review with VDOT staff, and VDOT staff has communicated to the county directly that additional revisions are unlikely to be needed. Next slide. Regarding environmental considerations, a wetlands and resource protection area delineation was provided to environmental staff for review and was confirmed as being accurate with respect to the boundaries of the features depicted therein. In relation to the concept plan provided, environmental staff noted that several building sites appear to be within close limits of wetlands, which would require a 100-foot RPA buffer, which extends landward from the edge of those wetlands. As such, the applicant was reminded by environmental division staff that a clearing of vegetation and land disturbance within that buffer is significantly limited, and additional permitting and public hearings may be required depending on the type of encroachment that may be proposed into the RPA buffer. In addition, they noted that several wetland impacts appear to be proposed based on the concept plan provided, and as such, copies of wetland impact authorizations from the applicable state and federal agencies must be provided to the environmental division prior to issuance of any local permits that propose said impacts. Finally, it was confirmed by environmental division staff that the locations of proposed wet pond BMPs appear appropriate upon a cursory review of the concept plan, but water quality and quantity criteria must be met upon the design and review of future site plan submissions for the site. Next slide, please. Last but not least, regarding some key planning considerations, the proposed rezoning from A1 agricultural, EO economic opportunity, and IND industrial to entirely economic opportunity would largely work to bring the zoning of the subject properties into alignment with their envisioned future land use under the county's adopted comprehensive plan, which designates the vast majority of the subject sites as having a future land use designation of EO economic opportunity. So as you can see on that screen there, all of that purple area that's kind of present in the subject sites, that would be the areas that have the envisioned future land use of economic opportunity. And to give you a little bit of an idea of what exactly that means, the county's comprehensive plan defines the economic opportunity future land use designation as being mixed-use centers designed to capitalize on commercial opportunities, including retail, warehousing, and light industrial uses with moderate to high density. The proposed scope of future development for the site, as outlined in the concept plan provided by the applicant, appears to be substantially consistent with this definition. Additionally, the smaller light industrial specialty contractor spaces proposed for the southern land bay would provide an excellent opportunity for additional growth in the county's commercial tax base, as similar types of development products do not currently exist in the county and are in high demand. We get calls about them in the planning office all the time, people looking for these sorts of spaces. Think sort of small bay, flex bay, tenant spaces for things like HVAC companies, plumbers, electricians, general contractors, custom fabrication, that sort of thing. Next slide, please. In addition, staff has noted that a number of those voluntary proffers I mentioned that were provided by the applicant are intended to offset the impacts of the proposed rezoning and subsequent development of the site. Given that portions of the subject sites are located within the boundaries of the Commerce Corridor Overlay District, which extends 500 feet outwards from both Route 33 and Route 249, proffers 2 and 3 work to establish aesthetically pleasing design and material requirements applying to all buildings proposed as part of the subsequent development of the site, regardless of whether or not they're in the Commerce Corridor overlay boundaries or not. So that would mean that if the rezoning were to be approved and the site were to develop in the future, there would be a sort of high quality design and architectural standards set for all buildings on the site, not just those in the Commerce Corridor boundaries. In addition, Proffer 5 works to establish a requirement wherein a vegetative buffer not less than 100 feet in width with a vegetation density equal to or greater than a Type C buffer, which is the sort of widest and densest transitional buffer our county code establishes, will need to be maintained and, where necessary, supplemented between any future building located at the site and adjoining properties used residentially. Like I mentioned, the width of this buffer would be approximately 33% wider than any transitional buffer currently required by the county code and would work to screen from view and generally buffer future development of the site from those adjacent properties. Next slide, please. In addition, to mitigate impacts of future construction and development of the site on neighboring properties, proffer number 7 would work to limit all construction activities at the site to between the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or dusk, whichever is earlier, Monday to Saturday, with no construction permitted on Sundays. Staff did note that this proffer does, however, provide exceptions in emergencies or where unusual circumstances do require extending the specific permitted hours to complete work, such as in the case of concrete pours or utility connections being made. In addition, to better scale any future development with the existing site context and neighborhood properties, Proffer 15 works to establish a lower maximum building/structure height, in this case 60 feet, than would otherwise be allowed by right in the EO Economic Opportunity Zone. So the EO Economic Opportunity Zone typically allows a building height of up to 75 feet by right. The applicant has proffered to establish buildings or structures at the site that would not exceed 60 feet. So 15 feet lower than would otherwise be allowed by right in the zone. This offering, as a quick point of note, this offering was provided in the applicant's revised proffer statement submitted to the county earlier today. I believe you all should have copies of it in front of you. And I'll get in a little bit here into the other additional proffer that was submitted as part of that revised statement here in a moment. Next slide, please. In response to concerns voiced by residents in relation to the applicant's original proposal to terminate Pamunkey Church Road in a cul-de-sac at the property line of tax map parcel 36-38, that's that kind of northern land bay area, the applicant ultimately revised their proposed approach to instead realign Pamunkey Church Road to follow the northern property line of the site, and keeping the same geometry of its eventual ingress-egress back into Route 249 as is currently the case now. This works to address concerns regarding potential traffic impacts of that may have stemmed from the original cul-de-sac proposal as voiced by residents, while also allowing the applicant to avoid the additional building setback constraints currently in place as a result of Pamunkey Church Road's bisecting of tax map parcel 36-38, and better maintain a consistent 100-foot vegetative buffer around the site. Of course, future realignment of Pamunkey Church Road would be subject to coordination with and approval by VDOT. Next slide, please. Finally, to address a topic of concern noted in some public comments that were submitted to the board, I did want to make a point of noting that there do exist on the far southern property line of one of the subject properties that forms the southern land bay, tax map parcel 36-37A, 2 archaeological resources that are a part of the Department of Historic Resources at the state levels, archaeological inventories. So those are shown on the screen there. On the graphic on the left, you can see they're kind of highlighted in a light blue color on that far southern property line in the RPA area, and a little bit of a zoomed-in view there on the right-hand side. 44 NK0219 is documented as being a camp from the Middle Woodland period, while Site 44 NK0220 is a camp from an unknown period. Both those sites are documented as being within the resource protection area that encompasses the southern property line of tax map 36-37A. Now, a few points of note on this topic. First, an archaeological survey is not a requirement by the county code with respect to needing to be undertaken in relation to the property proposed to be rezoned, and thus, in this case, one was not conducted in relation to the request at the time the application was submitted. At the time that the applicant first submitted their rezoning request to the county in January 2026, they were not aware of the presence of these sites and therefore did not call them out in their application narrative. They were subsequently notified of their presence at the end of February 2026 when the Army Corps of Engineers issued the applicant a preliminary jurisdictional determination of the site's aquatic resources, in other words, wetlands, streams, etc., which did alert the applicant to their presence. I also wanted to note that county staff has coordinated and confirmed with Department of Historic Resources Division of State Archaeology staff that they would not require an archaeological survey be conducted prior to consideration of a rezoning request. Whether or not an archaeological survey or a tribal consultation is required is determined by the Army Corps of Engineers in their evaluation of any federally required permits submitted, such as for wetland impacts in the vicinity of said resources. And if the Army Corps of Engineers does determine that an archaeological survey or tribal consultation is required based on those proposed site work or wetland impacts, then the applicant must fulfill those requirements in order to proceed with their proposal. Now, regarding the archaeological sites themselves, as mentioned, they're located entirely within the resource protection area on the southern property line, and therefore no construction or land disturbance is permitted in their general vicinity without significant additional federal permitting. However, to further ensure these sites are not accidentally impacted by any future development of the site, the applicant has also added an additional voluntary proffer in their revised proffer statement submitted earlier today. That proffer would seek to work to establish that any land disturbance or construction activities that would be proposed to take place in a site plan submitted to the county within 200 feet of where those documented resources exist would trigger the need for an archaeological survey to be done. As is the case on the concept plan right now, there is no land disturbance or construction proposed within that vicinity. But should anything change, it's kind of a safeguard against potential impacts to those cultural resources. Obviously, the comprehensive plan places a strong value on maintaining the historic character and cultural resources of the county, so we want to do that if we can. Next slide, please. So, subject to the voluntary proffers submitted by the applicant in their proffer statement dated July 13th, 2026, today, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request. The recommendation of approval is based on the staff findings that the proposed rezoning of the subject properties would result in a zoning designation that is consistent with the property's envisioned future land use under the county's comprehensive plan, and that the voluntary proffers submitted by the applicant would sufficiently work to largely mitigate potential impacts of the proposed rezoning and subsequent development of the subject sites. In addition, at their June 15th meeting, the Planning Commission voted to forward a favorable recommendation of approval to the Board of Supervisors subject to the voluntary proffers provided by the applicant. So I've done a lot of talking. That concludes the staff overview presentation of the rezoning request, and I'll now turn things over and introduce Mr. Jared Anderson of Roth Jackson Law Firm to present the request as the applicant's agent.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. My name is Jared Anderson. I'm an attorney with Roth Jackson. I'm assisting the applicant in this rezoning application. The applicant is in attendance. I also believe the civil engineer and the transportation engineer is in attendance if there's any particular questions that should be directed towards them. I would request 3 minutes to respond to any public comments that are being made, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. This rezoning application is for the future commercial and light industrial uses in the Economic Opportunity District. No data centers are being contemplated with this application. That would require additional applications, public hearings, and approvals through a public process. And as we've heard tonight, we're not seeking a data center with this application at all. Additionally, there will be no construction on particular structures until there is a proposed tenant. Next slide. The property is in an ideal location for potential warehousing, specialty contractor sites, grocery stores, with out parcels focusing on restaurants, gas stations with food service, and other small businesses, all near interstate access. Next slide. There are 3 different zoning districts on 3 properties, A1, EO, and industrial. Over half the property is already zoned industrial or economic opportunity. We are seeking a rezoning for the entire property to be economic opportunity to provide a more unified project development. Additionally, economic opportunity zoning can be found on several parcels near the applicant's property, across Route 33 and adjacent to the property. Next slide. The Commerce Corridor Overlay District extends 500 feet outwards from both Route 33 and Route 249, which this property would be subject to. The intent of the overlay is to protect the aesthetic and visual character of land, public health, safety, and welfare by managing growth within the county's primary highway corridors. There is clear intent from the county that commerce is planned along both Route 33 and Route 249, hence the overlay district. There are numerous standards within the overlay district, including architectural design of structures, screening of material, mechanical equipment, limitation of architectural features, signage restrictions. Those are all part of the overlay. Next slide. And one more point with the Commerce Corridor, that area is only 500 feet off of the road. Our proffers are requiring high-quality building materials, signage restrictions, and screening of material equipment for the entire property, not just the 500 feet within the Commerce Corridor overlay. Nearly the entire property, and this is looking at the future land use map of the county's comprehensive plan as passed last year, nearly the entire property is designated as economic opportunity. However, only 4.7% of the entire county is designated as economic opportunity in the comprehensive plan. That means over 95% of the county does not have this designation. Therefore, this designation is important for the county. Appropriate uses in the comprehensive plan for economic opportunity include destination retail and service uses, warehousing, light industrial, offices, research and development, and as a secondary use, multifamily. Per the comprehensive plan, potential zoning categories in the economic opportunity land use area include economic opportunity zoning. Next slide, please. Beyond the future land use map, there's other areas within the comprehensive plan that are consistent with this application. I won't read these verbatim, but number one, it's important for the county to seek and strengthen and diversify its economic and its economy, encouraging commercial and industrial development. Expanding research, retail and service options will help reduce the need for residents to travel outside the county for shopping and dining. That was articulated in a survey that was part of the comprehensive plan, where 58% of survey respondents felt there was not enough retail in New Kent County. Next slide. This is the conceptual plan. There's a 100-foot buffer that goes around the majority of this property, and when I say property, I mean all three of the parcels, to abate noise and visual concerns. As Mr. Silva articulated, this is much wider than what is required, which is why it's part of our proffers. That area, the hatched area, it's a little hard to see around the edges of the property, are to remain in a vegetative natural state. This plan shows a mixture of commercial and light industrial uses, all which would be permitted by right and economic opportunity. We're not seeking any conditional use permits with this rezoning. Everything that we would expect and hope for would be permitted by right today in the economic opportunity zoning district. Furthermore, this project must adhere to all relevant stormwater, RPA, water quality, and flow rate requirements. Reviewers and agencies must approve plans prior to issuance of land disturbance permits. So we're subject to the permits that anyone else doing land disturbance would be required of. Not asking. Yep. Next slide. The southern land bay is an integral part of this application. These smaller buildings, and they're fairly large in size, but smaller in comparison to the northern bay, are in demand, as Mr. Silva alluded to, and fill an important niche for companies such as local contractors, the trades, flex space, and other small light industrial uses. The southern land bay aligns with the comprehensive plan's designation of economic opportunity as being a mixed-use center designed to capitalize on commercial opportunities, including retail, warehousing, and light industrial uses. And when combined with the proffers, it shows consistency with the goals and objectives of the county's comprehensive plan. Next slide. This is a conceptual rendering of the vision of our project. There have been concerns, as noted at the Planning Commission hearing, that the property will be clear-cut. There are a few reasons why this will not happen. First, there's RPA and corresponding buffer areas on the property. That's not what, we're not showing that on the concept plan, and we have proffered that we have proffered that we will be in general conformance with the concept plan. As it relates to timbering, the applicant is not gaining any additional rights with the rezoning than they already have. Forestry is a by right use in A1. Section 98-63 of the county's code in part states that all plans of development shall preserve existing landscaping whenever possible and supplement existing landscaping. We need to adhere to that call from the county. And lastly, we're proffering the 100-foot vegetated buffer, which goes around most sides. And because of the size of this property, that vegetated buffer accounts for several acres. It ends up being several acres of land that will not be in any way, shape, or form disturbed. Next slide. This was the Pamunkey Church Road design when we had the community meeting back in May. There was a cul-de-sac, and there were concerns at the community meeting about this cul-de-sac design. And so, next slide, please. And so we redesigned the layout of the road. You can see in the red circled area that we are not cul-de-sacing the road, and in fact we are redesigning the road, which will meet all VDOT specs, in which we plan on it being maintained in the VDOT system, and will have the exact same point of ingress and egress on Route 249 that it has currently. So there won't be any change there. We think it's a better design because it will be on the other side of the buffer area than it would be if we tried to fit it in through the buffer area. So it's being cleared of the buffer area. The buffer area will provide a screen between the road and our structures. Next slide. A little hard to see, sorry. And Mr. Silver went over these really well. So it's important to note that the proffers run with the land and are enforceable by the county. The proffers, in essence, become part of the county's zoning ordinance if accepted by the local government. And so all of these items that are listed here, if accepted by the local government, would become actionable, enforceable, and we would have to adhere to those. The 100-foot buffer, the building design, the facades, the construction hour limitation, protective covenants, conformance with the concept plan. Next slide. All the transportation improvements that Mr. Silva already touched upon, certain design standards, screening of mechanical equipment, protection of potential historic resources, and a reduction of 20% of the maximum building height. Next slide. This project has taken several months to complete. We have spoken to county staff, we have held a community meeting, and we have updated our plans accordingly. We have proffered conditions that will mitigate impacts. Additionally, this rezoning is consistent with the county's comprehensive plan. This project will not add any more school children or increase density. This project will bring a significant amount of tax revenue. Staff, who are agents of the county, are recommending approval of this project. Planning Commission overwhelmingly voted to recommend approval of this project. Therefore, we would respectfully ask that the board approve this application as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board members? Right there, you want to wait throughout the public hearing? All right, at this time, I will open the public hearing. Did anyone sign up?
Yes, sir.
Jeez. Y'all want to take a break? At this time, we're going to take about a 5-minute break for us, okay, if you don't mind. Thank you.
That was all economic opportunity. Yeah, but someone industrial. Well, he wants to rezone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he got the building. He's already told us about it. No, I'm talking about when you go into that's the same. We lost that. Okay, you know, let's kind of manage square feet of commercial. They got 100,000 square feet. Yeah, they got a Dairy Queen. Rodney, just interesting.
I'll call our meeting back to order, please. Please be seated. When I call your name, if you'll please come to the podium, state your name and your address, and you have approximately 3 minutes to speak. First person, Andy Shine.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. My name is Andy Shine, 8064 West Lord Botetourt Loop. I am here to show my support for the rezoning request by the Curtis Group. I think it will add the much-needed economic development without adding more to Exit 211. It will help with the tax base. The tax revenue from this project will enable New Kent County to expand or increase the school capacities. New Kent County needs to increase its tax revenue from commercial business to take the load off its citizens. I believe it is the perfect place for industrial expansion, and I believe they have done their due diligence regarding any environmental impact for this project. The staff is recommending approval of the rezoning and a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission. I support the staff and I support the Planning Commission. Mr. Curtis has also stated that he has no interest in the data center industry, nor do I. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shine. Next is Aaron Meriden. Marion, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Erin Marion. I reside at 10416 Deer Lake Drive. I'd like to address how water quality requirements relate to this application. Page 35 of the comprehensive plan designates that development within resource protection areas may be allowed only if it is water dependent or constitutes redevelopment. Page 36 further states that any land disturbance within a resource protection area requires submission and approval of a water quality impact assessment, including mitigation for the proposed encroachment. County staff have already acknowledged that this concept plan proposes encroachments that require into the required 100-foot resource protection area buffer, along with multiple wetland impacts. That raises a straightforward question. Has a water quality impact assessment been completed and made available for this proposed development, consistent with County Code Section 94-41? If not, then this board is being asked to make a rezoning decision without understanding the full impacts to protected resources or whether those impacts can even adequately be mitigated. That is premature. Beaver Dam Creek is identified as a Category 5 impaired water body by the Department of Environmental Quality. It also lies within the lower Chickahominy River watershed, which is subject to a Chesapeake Bay total maximum daily load, or a TMDL. These requirements exist because the watershed is impaired and must meet nutrient and sediment reduction goals established under Virginia's Chesapeake Bay Watershed Implementation Plan. The comprehensive plan recognizes these responsibilities. Page 46 directs the county to safeguard resource protection areas, minimize runoff, erosion, and sedimentation, restrict intensive development on environmentally sensitive soils, protect aquatic ecosystems, reduce stormwater pollution, and continuously improve water quality over time. Based on the record before you this evening, can this board conclude that approving the rezoning will achieve the comprehensive plan's goal of continuous improvement in water quality? That's all I have.
Thank you. Next is Paul Johnson.
All right, back again. Good evening. Paul Johnson, 5801 Good Hope Road. I want to talk about the new Kent's comprehensive plan. It says that growth should happen while protecting our rural character and our history. Tonight, you're being asked to permanently rezone agricultural land to economic opportunity. But there are two documented Native American archaeological sites on this property. One dates back more than 2,000 years to the early woodland period and contains Native American pottery and stone artifacts. The archaeological report says that this site has excellent information potential and recommends more testing. So why are we permanently rezoning this land before the testing is done? And also, have the appropriate tribal leaders even been included in this conversation? They deserve to have a seat at the table too. We don't need to risk destroying their history that's been buried under the ground for more than 2,000 years before we even take the time to fully understand what's there. Our comprehensive plan says we value our rural character and our history. Well, that is where those words matter. Please vote no on this rezoning, or at the very least, send it back to Planning Commission. Have the applicant correct their application to include documented archaeological sites, complete the recommended testing, and include appropriate tribal leaders. Then when the application is actually ready, bring it back for the vote, because once it's done, that's all she wrote. It's done. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Sampry.
Melissa Samperry, 2950 Kent Hill Lane, Providence Forge. So I'm just getting to know a few people here tonight and researching backgrounds and so forth. I noticed our current planning Mr. Curtis, who presented the presentation here tonight, is from Fairfax County previously. How many data centers are currently in Fairfax County? 43. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And what I saw on that screen looks like a data center to me. Have you seen what's going on in Goochland County with the TOD that they passed? And now there's data centers, and now there's lawsuits. And the county's tied up in lawsuits. I don't want to see our county tied up in lawsuits and my tax dollars spent on attorney fees and lawsuits. Currently, the issue there was that there was a TOD, it was passed, and those stipulations or the design were revised. So those standards were revised and the designs were revised. And now they have concerns with data centers coming in there. Currently, with the by right, a data center can go into a TOD as we speak today. You vote on this today, you approve it, by right, a data center can come in there. And that's the concern I think our constituents have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Chris Rizzo.
How you doing? Chris Rizzo. I live at 6915 Lost Colony Drive in New Kent. And a lot of people are here because they're opposed to data centers. I know that when they proposed this project, they said it's not for a data center, but that is a possibility. They're combining, from what I understood of the presentation, 2 tracts of land in part of that, each one 600 and something thousand square feet, comes to 1.2 million square feet. That would be substantial for a data center there. And there are a lot of concerns about what happens if it becomes a data center. Once you get there, you can't really change things and turn around. I know water is a huge concern for a lot of people, quality of water. And I come from Loudoun County where data centers are king. I've got a lot of friends that live there. Everybody says it's ruined the character of the county. So I'm just here to speak to see if there's some way that you can stop this. I think that what they can do by right now is good for economic development without having to change it so that it gives opportunity. So I think if you vote no for this, it restricts the ability to have a huge data center, but it still leaves some opportunity for some kind of economic development on the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Schott.
Hello again. My name is Jeff Chalk, 6435 Langwood Pines Lane, Lenexa, Virginia, obviously. I'm in District 3, and my property is directly adjacent to the proposed rezoning. To that end, obviously, I have some concerns, and so I'll just state up front that I am asking you to reject the rezoning as it stands. That would be in, or at least reject or delay. That would be in accordance with Ms. Pearson's adopted motion in order to delay things until at least December or September when the ordinance is heard and eventually passed. Now, the Curtis rezoning piece that has a brand new, as of today, environmental impact piece strikes me a bit as last minute, or perhaps either deceptive, or that just they didn't do the right job in doing that preparation. And it unfortunately leads to the questions of what else have they missed or what else are they hiding? Most likely missed. I'm not going to ascribe malicious intent. However, when it comes to some of those environmental concerns, or in this case, the archaeological pieces that are essential to the county, and they are in an RPA-ish, yes, but an RPA is a buffer. It is not a shield to development and to other impacts. The standing concern from the people that I've talked to, from my neighbors and from others, is that the instant this property gets rezoned, and that's both of them because the Curtis property has not separated the two different parcels, is that probably by tomorrow, if you approve it, they would immediately sell it to somebody else. Whoever they sold it to would not be bound by necessarily any of the proffers. And every single one of these buildings that are on there as projected are essentially that, projected. They are not actuality. Because of that, it would be my expectation that soon after, if not by the next business day or by the end of the business week, you'd probably end up with an application in your box for some sort of data center piece. And the reason why I would say that it's going to be problematic aside from sizing, how many of you have been to Palmdale, California for Antelope Valley? The largest building you can see across the entire valley is Lockheed's building L10 or 1011, named after the L1011. It's 215,000 square feet. They built airliners there. They built jet fighters there. They built the U-2 there. These buildings are at least 3 times bigger than that on their face. That's each building being somewhere between 10 and 12 football fields in size in this proposal. Yes, some of it is because they're trying to do the worst case scenario, but I believe that the county actually and the constituents are afraid that worst case is really the case. Additionally, I would say that some of the county comments from some of the citizenry have amounted to, in some ways, sort of a, I don't want it, but if it can be in your section of the county, that's better for me. So I would really discourage you from making District 3 a dumping ground for shiny ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Vicki Rizzo.
Greetings. Bless you. Victoria Rizzo, 6915 Lost Colony Drive, New Kent. The presentation was lovely and seems on its surface to be very innocuous. I would hope that you would reject it, though. Across this country and the Commonwealth of Virginia, communities have become more informed, and they're pushing back on large corporations and specifically data centers for good reason. If we destroy our soil, pollute our wells, drain our water supply and our electrical grid, then we've lost everything. They are a burden on our power grid and our infrastructure, and residents are forced to subsidize them by paying higher power bills and with their tax exemptions, while we are asked, ultimately, to conserve water, conserve power. Oh, rolling blackouts in the future. This is all disguised as some great benefit to us. It is not the corporate developers' responsibility to look after the citizens of New Kent. They work for their corporations. They don't look after our quality of life. They're not concerned with what the residents want or don't want. These concerns fall to you. These people know that they do not have to convince hundreds of people. They don't even have to convince 100 residents. I'm sorry, they don't have to convince a dozen residents. They don't even have to convince 5 residents. They only got to convince 3 of you, and their job is done. Approval may not specifically authorize a data center, as they said, but it surely opens the door. The language is intentionally vague and open. Economic opportunity zoning, future development site, future land use, those are buzzwords. Those are warning flags. You have a certificate of recognition out on the wall out front for New Kent for implementing low-impact development in a rural community. I hope you stand on this and do not waver. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is the Honorable Joe McLaughlin.
Joe McLaughlin, 7100 Timber Ridge Road, Quinton, Virginia, 23141. Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. County Administrator, County Attorney. Got a call this afternoon, kind of last minute, from Mr. Andy Curtis asking if I would come speak tonight on his character. The only thing I can say is that in my contact with Andy, who I consider a friend, he's always, in my opinion, been straightforward in the discussions that we have had. If he tells me he was going to do something, it was done. I've not had any question as to his motives. I can tell you I've heard through the county and other situations concerns, and I would have to speak to those later and let those people speak to them themselves. So to make the situation brief, since we've had a long night and I can see eyes drooping in front of me, I point blank communicated with Mr. Curtis and told him I would be discussing his character in my opinion only, but that if there was any consideration, even the slightest consideration in this proposal that involved consideration, concern, the possibility of a data center coming to this piece of property, I would not be in support of that proposal. So I would say, Mr. Curtis, I consider a friend. However, I don't have the crystal ball, so I can't tell you what may happen in 30 seconds, much less 30 years. But plain and simple, if it involves a data center, I would be completely against it if it goes as is proposed today. I hope Mr. Curtis would continue to be a man of his word and follow through and stand tall and not allow a data center to be included in those discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Gary LaRochelle.
Good evening. Gary LaRochelle, 10500 Pocahontas Trail, Providence Forge, Virginia. As a 25-year citizen of New Kent and a member of the Planning Commission, I'm addressing you tonight with concerns about rezoning request ZM-02-26. This request came before the Planning Commission on June 15th, 2026, but information in that rezoning application was not accurate. Specifically to question 9 of the rezoning application, the applicant stated, quote, based on our research, there appear to be no historical sites on or near the property, end quote. While the applicant may not have been aware of historical sites initially, they were informed by the Army Corps of Engineers within weeks of submittal that there were 2 sites of historical interest on the property. Despite amending their application at least once and at least now twice, after receipt of the info from the Army Corps of Engineers and prior to presenting it to the Planning Commission, they had updated it then to update proffers, the concept plan, and the utility plan, utility concept plan. The applicant never updated the information, question number 9, on the application. This means that the Planning Commission made a recommendation based on incomplete or false information, so that recommendation is flawed. Everything that Mr. Silver talked about tonight regarding those historical sites, the Planning Commission heard none of that. That was not included. There was no mention of that during the Planning Commission presentation. The New Kent County vision statement contained in our strategic plan states that New Kent County will remain a diverse community that values its outstanding rural character, history, natural environment, and quiet community lifestyle. Valuing our history must include ensuring that culturally historic sites be properly identified, researched, and protected. Staff has indicated that the location of these historic sites is within an RPA, so therefore they would be indirectly protected. Should be noted that one of the historic sites is documented as being so large, 120 by 170 feet, that it's unlikely that it falls entirely within the RPA boundaries. Forgive me, I did not have the revision to the plan when I headed this way today. So if the revised proffers that came in today amend that, but the function of RPA is not to protect historically cultural areas. That's not what an RPA is for. I strongly recommend that this board direct the applicant to update the application as needed and to forward it back to the Planning Commission for reconsideration. If possible, the applicant should be directed to complete the Phase 2 testing and assessment of these sites as recommended by the Virginia Department of Historic Resources in 1996 before rezoning is considered. As a separate issue, and this is for the county attorney, there's no affirmation statement on the rezoning application that states all information is true to the best of the applicant's knowledge. There's no statement, there's no signature. I recommend that the county attorney review this form and all other county forms to see if such an affirmation statement should be added. Thank you.
Next is Meredith Rose.
I'm speaking on behalf of the group. Do they need to acknowledge themselves?
Beg your pardon?
I'm speaking on behalf of a group. Do they need to acknowledge themselves?
What's the group?
A group of residents.
You recognize the group?
If there's a group. Mr. Chair, if there's a group, you can just have them raise their hands to signify who they are. Remember, based on your bylaws, they have 7 minutes.
Okay, right.
Would everybody in the group please raise their hand? Good evening. My name is Meredith Rose, and I reside at 14360 Stage Road. I would like to address the vision of the comprehensive plan. Tonight, your decision is not simply whether economic development is desirable. Your responsibility is to determine whether this rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan that guides New Kent County's land use decisions. The opening paragraph explains exactly why this document exists. It states the comprehensive plan is a strategic vision document guiding the county's growth and development over the next 2 decades. It outlines policies and recommendations to manage population growth, economic development, land use, infrastructure, and environmental sustainability while preserving the county's rural character and historical significance. Economic development is an important goal of the comprehensive plan. I'm not denying that. But this proposed rezoning may be consistent with the plan's objective of expanding employment opportunities and encouraging development along a major transportation corridor. But the comprehensive plan does not identify economic development as the overriding goal. Instead, it repeatedly directs the county to achieve economic growth while preserving the rural character, natural resources, agricultural lands, and historical significance that define New Kent County. Approximately 70 to 75% of the land included in this rezoning application lies within either a resource protection area or a resource management area established to protect water quality. County environmental staff acknowledged that the applicant proposed encroachments into this required 100-foot RPA buffer for several building sites, along with multiple proposed wetland impacts. Those impacts are not speculative. They are documented in the county's own staff report. The applicant is asking this board to approve a land use change based on a concept plan that already demonstrates conflicts with the county's adopted environmental policies. The burden should not fall on future engineering or permitting to resolve conflicts that are evident today. Those conflicts should be resolved before the zoning is changed, not afterward. Industrial development introduces extensive impervious surfaces, truck traffic, loading areas, and stormwater runoff that must be carefully managed. Several branches of Beaver Dam Creek flow directly through this property. Before changing the zoning, what evidence has been provided that the proposed development can prevent polluted stormwater runoff from reaching this impaired watershed? That is required by Code 98-872, Item 7. Page 19 of the comprehensive plan acknowledges the role that development plays on natural resources and states sustainable management becomes crucial to avoid depletion and environmental degradation. The comprehensive plan also recognizes the importance of protecting groundwater. Page 46 states that the county will study the location of groundwater recharge boundaries and consider the creation of a groundwater protection overlay district or other local regulations to protect these areas. Has that groundwater recharge study been completed? If so, how does this proposed industrial development align with its findings? If it has not been completed, how can this board determine whether this rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan's groundwater protection goals or the county's source water protection plan? Rural character is New Kent's greatest asset. It designates that on page 11 of the comprehensive plan. Throughout the plan, preserving New Kent's rural character is recurring priority. In fact, it references preserving rural character more than 20 times. It discusses protection of natural resources, forests, agricultural lands, and environmentally sensitive areas more than 50 times. It also emphasizes preserving the county's historic and cultural resources and promoting tourism rooted in New Kent's rural, agricultural, recreational, and historic identity. The issue before you is not whether industrial development should occur somewhere in New Kent County. The issue is whether this applicant has demonstrated that this particular location satisfies the standards established in the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan repeatedly states that growth should occur in appropriate locations while preserving rural character, agricultural land, forests, natural resources, and historical significance. A portion of this property is an entirely forested agricultural A1 tract containing environmentally sensitive resources, prime agricultural soils, and 2 documented Native American archaeological sites, one of which has been identified as potentially eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places. Based on the evidence before you, how does converting this property into industrial development fulfill that vision? The county's own source water protection plan identifies industrial land uses, hazardous material storage, transportation corridors, and heavy equipment operations as potential threats to public drinking water. The comprehensive plan also directs the county to study groundwater recharge areas and consider groundwater protection measures. Has that work been completed? And if not, how can the board determine this rezoning is consistent with those policies? The comprehensive plan also commits New Kent County to preserving its historical significance. These archaeological sites are non-renewable resources. Once their archaeological context is disturbed, the information they contain is permanently lost. Protection of water resources does not automatically protect archaeological resources. Both deserve independent consideration before the land use changes. The comprehensive plan is not simply a vision statement. It is the board's adopted policy for making land use decisions. The plan states that zoning decisions are one of the primary tools used to implement that policy. If this rezoning is approved before the applicant demonstrates consistency with the plan's requirements for protecting groundwater, historic resources, rural character, and environmentally sensitive lands, then the comprehensive plan is no longer serving as the guide for land use decisions. Before approving a change in land use, this board should be satisfied that the applicant has demonstrated consistency with the comprehensive plan. Based on the record before you this evening, that consistency has not been demonstrated. I respectfully ask you to deny the rezoning application or at a minimum remand it until the applicant demonstrates that this proposal is consistent with every applicable provision of the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Next is Marcus Peck.
Good evening. My name is Marcus Peck. I reside at 14271 Stage Road, Lenexa. I'll keep this brief to avoid beating a dead horse. But I do want to state first that I'm against the rezoning, mostly because of the magnitude, right? The two main buildings are 600 square feet each. The other industrial buildings bring the square footage total to 1.8 million square feet, all right? I'm going to steal the analogy here. That's 30 football fields, end zones included. They want to front this property out with 6 out-parcel sites for retail, restaurants, et cetera. Oh, and a gas station. And I think that conceptual rendition was incredibly misleading because in the first question in their application for rezoning, they actually say that the industrial warehouse portion will not be visible from the road. Now, look, I'm sure they're clever people, but I just don't know how you hide 30 football fields. Thank you.
Next is Debbie Lane.
I don't have anything to say. Everyone said everything.
Thank you. Next is Kara Marshall. Kara Marshall. Okay. She left. Okay, good. Next is Andy. That's good. Next is Andy Marshall.
I think they were the ones that had mistakenly signed up on this versus the.
So they both have left. Okay, good. Kirsten Krosiewski. I almost got it right.
Signing up until I'm going to teach you the last name.
I
I'm just joking. It's hard. It's Polish. Kirsten Krosik, 3443 Vadens Pond Road in Lenexa. I'm not a business person. I do not have experience with rezoning requests that many in this room may have. And I recognize I don't know what I don't know. So with that, I ask, if the rezoning is approved, what do we actually know about what will come of this? Is a development plan to build warehouses with no identified tenants sufficient to illustrate how the proposed zoning change will promote economic growth or create jobs, aside from construction jobs internal to the applicant or external to the state? There seems to be an acceptance that building a generic warehouse campus sounds like it must be good for economic growth. Someone at a previous session and this session has stated that there was high market demand for this. Okay, maybe. Developers, home builders, they build homes all the time waiting for someone to buy the already built home. I get it. But again, what guarantees exist right here, right now, as to what the resulting land use will be? Is the board's decision simply based on a conceptual schematic where it has been stated that it may change? Previous comments are on record that the land or warehouse could be leased or sold. How did AutoZone do it? Target, Amazon. Did they identify themselves as the business at hand so you knew exactly what you were agreeing to? I do not believe AutoZone, Target, or Amazon had to engage in a rezoning request. Apologies if I'm in error on that. But that's actually the point. Even if they did, or if they didn't, the board knew what the resulting business was going to be. Can you say the same here? Rezoning to EO without any true commitment as to what the actual businesses will be might make the land more valuable from a business standpoint, and it gives the land owner more negotiating leverage with EO in pocket. The county's in the middle of creating a data center ordinance and updating the zoning ordinance. This proposal, this vote, touches upon both of these yet to be completed ordinances. Between the ordinance timing and what seems to be potentially a placeholder generic warehouse campus proposal, I offer that the BOS defer on the proposal involving the 342 acres. As I started this by saying, I don't know what I don't know. Sometimes that can be okay for a resident. I'm not voting, and I have limited ability to request more information. But for the board, it is expected that members will have satisfactory detail on a proposal. Not just detail on setback, parking, berms, building height, but actual use of the property. I'm not sure anyone has the answer to that. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last person is Jason Knapp.
Good evening. My name is Jason Knapp. I am a retired naval officer, a former F-18 pilot. I'm a clean energy advocate, and I am from Northumberland County. So I am not a resident here of Kent, but I am also a current Democratic candidate to represent this district in Congress. I'm here on 3 specific points, and I will be brief. First, the board just delayed Technology Overlay District until September. That means you're voting on a rezoning without knowing what the TOD will allow. If this rezoning has nothing to do with data centers, a proffer excluding data center use costs the applicant nothing. The staff report says explicitly, and I quote, that approval would not authorize or provide approval for any data center development. But if that's true, write it down, bind it, and make it stick. Because the TOD you're still drafting would turn project-level public hearings into administrative permits for exactly these parcels, in exactly this corridor. You should not vote on rezoning in a vacuum while you're simultaneously building an overlay district that could enable data centers without a hearing. Either exclude data centers in these parcels now, in writing, or defer it until the TOD is done so that residents here know what you are allowing. Second, the TOD framework approves conforming data centers through an administrative conditional use permit, internal staff review, no planning commission, no board hearing, no public voice. Your own community development director told Commissioner Townsend in February that conforming projects would never come back to the planning commission, and that is a choice. You can require standards and hearings, but standards instead of hearings is a problem. If data centers mean tax revenue for schools, they also mean grid upgrades, water capacity, emergency services, and the question of whose bills go up to pay for it. That question deserves a hearing here. Third, and I want to build on what Ms. Meredith Rose spoke on. As you know, she submitted a letter to this board dated June 29th. It's in your packet documenting that the Corps of Engineers identified 2 archaeological sites on this property. A 1997 Phase 1 study led the Department of Historic Resources to recommend a Phase 2 evaluation of Native American cultural resources on parcel 36 TAC 37 Alpha. That evaluation was never conducted. The letter further documents that county planning staff did not disclose this information to the Planning Commission or include it in the public record. The Chickahominy, Pamunkey, Mattaponi, and Rappahannock tribes have interest in this land. Ms. Rose is asking you to complete the Phase 2, initiate tribal consultation, and submit environmental analysis addressing the stream and resource protection constraints before you vote. That's not a data center question. That's due diligence. Because of this, you should defer the vote and complete the work. Consult the tribes, then come back. Those are the 3 asks. Bind the rezoning to exclude data centers, or defer until the TOD is public and residents know what you are allowing. Preserve public hearings in the TOD, not administrative permits. And complete the archaeological record before you vote. My name is Jason Knapp. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you. All right, that wraps up the public hearing, so I'll close the public hearing. Any comments from fellow board members? I know you said you wanted to speak 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Timer doesn't start until I start talking, right?
Go ahead.
No. Okay. I want to. There's a few things. One, proffers run with the land, so those are legislative. If Mr. Curtis sells the property, all of these proffers, if accepted by the county, will run with the land. They don't disappear. Those are legislative. They're essentially part of the zoning ordinance. The project must adhere to all relevant stormwater, RPA, water quality, and flow rate requirements. Reviewers and agencies must approve plans prior to the issuance of land disturbance permits. If they don't it's not going to get built. It's that simple. This is typical during site plan review. Very common. We go through the process, state agencies, federal agencies, local government, all reviewing these plans to ensure that they adhere to the regulations as set forth by local, state, and federal law. And lastly, I want to read verbatim the proffer that was submitted today. It's entitled Archaeological Study. Prior to any site plan approval of any development involving land disturbance or construction activities on parcel I-25-3786-3007 within 200 feet of Virginia Department of Historic Resources, Archaeological Resources ID 44NK0220 and 44NK0219, aka the sites, the applicant must conduct a Phase 1 archaeological and cultural resource study on the property in compliance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966 within 200 feet of the sites, aka the study area. The applicant of such site plan will provide a copy of the study to the Director of Planning for the county for review. Any areas within the study area designated as culturally significant in such report will not be disturbed. Any culturally significant artifacts found as a result of such study or construction on any portion of the property will be offered for donation to the county or its assigns. That is a proffer. If accepted by the county, that becomes law and it is enforceable. Okay? In our opinion, that addresses the concern of the two sites, and if we come anywhere close, within 200 feet, we're required by law, if this rezoning is approved, to do the steps as outlined in that proffer. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you go back to the podium? So why wouldn't you do that before we decide?
What's that?
You said the applicant must conduct a Phase 1 archaeological and cultural resource study on the property in compliance with Section 106, National Historic Preservation Act. The applicant and such will provide a copy of the study to the director. Why don't you do all that before we vote on it?
So if we're going to, in our opinion, we're not going anywhere near those sites. If we're not going anywhere near those sites, they're within the RPA, they're within the 100-foot buffer. But if we go at site plan review and it shows that we're going to be within 200 feet, then it stops and we've got to do these necessary things. And so nothing's going to get built if we're within 200 feet until that report comes back. So we're just asking that it happen at the site plan time.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you were finished.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Silva, can you answer some questions for me?
I will do my darndest.
Okay. So when Amazon started to move dirt and Target started to move dirt, didn't they have to go through all of these studies and due diligence and...
Certainly a lot of whether it be environmental impact considerations or kind of the more site-specific surveys and analysis related to the implications of development of that site, that is all stuff that would happen at the site plan stage, as was the case with Amazon and Target.
So that's the expectation for the county, for all businesses that come here. And we're proposing that we treat Mr. Curtis differently?
It's certainly at the site plan submittal stage. There's an extensive, not only environmental review. These requests go to everybody, again, from planning staff to environmental to VDOT, anyone that might have a specific lens of analysis on any of the impacts stemming from development of that site. That there's an additional layer that takes place with respect to those considerations.
They would not be able to build these things if they did not pass those tests,
Absolutely
correct?
not, no. And there's a strict set of regulations, local, state, federal level, that would all have to be confirmed to be complied with at that site plan stage in order for any sort of development to take place.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Mr. Moyer, Mr. Hathaway, and I were not able to attend your May 5th public hearing or community meeting because we were in Phoenix representing the county with Chamber RVA, so I didn't get to hear a lot of the public comment that was made, and I appreciate the edits to the plan in regards to the Pamunkey Church Road. And because we didn't get to attend that May 5th meeting, we didn't get a chance to talk until this past Thursday. And in that meeting, I appreciate the time that we spent, and I appreciate Mr. Curtis being there. I reiterated something that I still think is important, but have tried to lead with this. When I was campaigning, when I knocked on doors, I made a commitment to every single person that I knocked on their door that asked me about this to maintain our rural character. So I went into the meeting with that at the forefront of my mind. As someone who has been here my entire life, it's very important to me that my family, my nephew, get to enjoy the county that I enjoyed. And so I asked a question during that meeting, and I said, would you be willing to separate the agricultural parcel from this request? Because that was something that I could see myself having a further conversation on. And the answer was just no. And for me, that put this in a position of we're no longer willing to consider maintaining the rural character of the county. I do understand that we have to grow and we have to develop, and we should be doing this thoughtfully in certain areas. And we have various boards and commissions responsible for deciding if a land use is possible. But I think one of our responsibilities is, should it happen? And in my opinion, rezoning agriculture to anything but agriculture should not happen. Once it is gone, as someone else said here, I don't even remember what you said, but she gone is the point. I just think that it's really unwise for us to go down a road when we have sat here and preached rural integrity, maintain rural character for the past 3 years. And I also would like to have this conversation after our ordinance is passed and in effect. I think that this could be a much different conversation than when we know our citizens and us as residents here have safeguards to what could happen there. So, again, thank you very graciously for the opportunity to talk. I really think that that's important, and I told you that that was important for me to be able to go back to my residents and defend a decision I made on their behalf because that's who I work for. So I appreciate it, but I think it's unwise of us to rezone agriculture to anything but agriculture right now.
Thank you. And then I'm befuddled over this whole deal because I can't believe you guys would go and spend that kind of money building these humongous warehouses with no tenants in mind.
It's not going to.
I mean, that just blows my mind. Could you address that? You have no idea who your tenants are going to be?
It's not going to build them. I asked them that today. They have said that they are not going to build anything until they have prospective tenants. But I'll let him say that.
That's correct. On my first slide, I stated that there will be no construction on particular structures until there is a proposed tenant.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think on the on Route 106, when Matten came to us, that was economic opportunity piece of property, and they asked to rezone it to industrial. They had speculations of warehouses and everything on it, but we rezoned it not knowing what it was going to be now. It's an Amazon warehouse.
Right. Okay. Any other comments? Any board
Actually, I
members?
have several comments.
Yes, go ahead, Ms.
So
Peterson.
the strategic plan and the comprehensive plan, months and countless meetings were spent on those documents. Am I correct, Mr. Aragi and Mr. Silva? With numerous citizen input. To me, the comprehensive plan is the second most important document that the county has. It's our plan to move forward, next to the budget. This proposal fits the comp plan. The applicant has stated repeatedly that he is not pursuing a data center. We made provisions at the beginning of this meeting so that that would not be possible until we have a data center ordinance in place, a strict data center ordinance in place that outlines what we expect if you want to bring a data center here. I'm quite certain that the applicant here are citizens, our New Kent citizens' opposition to data centers loud and clear. Until now, all or most of the EO in the county has been targeted at exit 211. It seems prudent to shift some of this to the other major industrial corridor in New Kent, which is Route 33. Diversifying our tax base is imperative to maintain New Kent's low tax rate. There are seniors in the county that need this help, as well as many middle-class and lower-income individuals. And perhaps one of the most compelling reasons to me to approve this is that the applicant tomorrow could take down every tree on both parcels and leave a vacant field. I don't think he would do that, but if it is sold, that's the chance that could be taken. The applicant has vowed to keep as many trees as possible in a business park setting. He wants to create something that his company can be proud of while appealing to the needs of the county. They have vowed that no spec buildings will be constructed before they have tenants, and that every effort will be made to attract businesses that the county needs, like restaurants, grocery stores, retail space, medical facilities, etc. CarMax is up the road, as well as Curtis Contracting and other EO and industrial type businesses. It makes sense they would be on these parcels of land also. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Any other comments?
I have just a question, Mr. Chair, and this might be for Mr. Silva. The two parcels that are already zoned economic opportunity, could you just describe what could already go there right now without this rezoning request being approved?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just that northern Land Bay area that has a portion of EO on it as is. And under the EO zoning designation, it's kind of intended to be sort of a hybrid zoning designation that bridges the gap between our typical business commercial style zoning and industrial. So it does allow some of the typical commercial uses of business zoning, like retail shopping establishments, personal service establishments, shopping centers, that sort of thing, while also allowing some of the light industrial uses that may be typical to an industrial area, like distribution center, warehousing, that sort of thing, but not allowing some of the heavier industrial uses that might be permitted in the industrial zone.
Thank you. And how much of these three parcels are zoned economic opportunity currently?
It is a portion of the northernmost land bay. I don't have an exact acreage figure off the top of my head. I might need to crunch some numbers to give you an exact acreage figure.
More
but
than
it's
100, less than 100?
I'd say it's probably right around that 100 mark or so. Mm-hmm.
Is it about 100? Is that what you're...
Thereabouts.
So some of this can be done currently. Some of this development can be done today if they want to do it without rezoning the agricultural portion of this land. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Silver, what can be put on the industrial portion?
Well, again, you're putting me on the spot a little bit without the table of land uses in front of me, but certainly the heavier industrial style uses you might see in like a true industrial park, trucking terminals, concrete plants, recycling plants. Some of the much heavier industrial uses are things that are able to be established on industrial zone parcels.
Okay. Ms. Moore, you got a question? All right.
Chair, I have a motion.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Allen.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt ordinance O-10-26, application ZM-02-26, to rezone approximately 342.85 acres of properties collectively identified on the New Kent County digital map as tax map parcel 36-37A, tax map parcel 36-38, and tax map parcel 26-86B from the existing zoning designations of A1 agriculture, EO economic opportunity, and industrial to entirely EO economic opportunity.
Mr. Chair, I apologize, Mr. Evelyn. Can you add one more phrase to that motion, please? And I'm just going to recite it. It's "and finding to promote the health, safety, convenience, and general welfare of the public and further accomplish the objectives of zoning."
Yes, I'll add that.
Okay.
To the motion.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Evelyn. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
No.
And Mr. Steers?
Nay. All right, guys, we're not having those comments coming from the audience. I apologize, but we just ask you to be respectful. You may not agree with anybody's opinion. Just be respectful and be professional. Thank you. I'll let these people get out of the room first. Huh? All right, we have one more public hearing this evening. Ordinance 011-26, one-time bonus for certain eligible county employees. Mr. Richard Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ordinance 11-26 in front of you is to authorize a monetary bonus for eligible county employees. Similar to last year, the state included some one-time bonus money for state-funded employees. The difference this year is that we're only passing that bonus along to those state-funded employees. This ordinance requires no budget action. The funds were included in the budget. It's limited local funding, mostly funded by the Comp Board, the Electoral Board, and the Department of Social Services through their heavily funded state funding portion. I believe it's $855. Again, it would only pass along to those employees that are funded by the state, and I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. You want to wait till we open the public hearing?
I was just going to ask Mr. Lawrence if he can just read out the positions that it.
Sure.
Thank you.
So this will impact the 5 constitutional officers, which include the treasurer, the commissioner of revenue, the sheriff, the clerk of the circuit court, and the Commonwealth attorney, and all state-funded staff overseen by these officers, the registrar and the electoral board, and all social services employees.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Cindy, did anybody sign up to speak? They didn't find this quite as interesting. Apparently no one signed up. There you go. No, okay. All right, then I'll close the public hearing and ask for any comments from board members.
I'm just ready to make a motion when you are, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt ordinance O-11-26 to authorize monetary bonuses for eligible county employees.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Ms. Watkins, are you still here?
I am.
Would you poll the members, please?
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passed. All right, next is elected officials reports. Ms. Stewart, do you have anything?
Sure. I was going to thank everyone that came out tonight, but they too have dinner at home waiting for them. I just really appreciate the citizen engagement. It's something that I've been hoping for my entire time on the board. So thank you for those that were here and that are still here. And then we have, as Richmond Region Tourism, New Kent's a member. They're currently conducting a survey right now to gauge the visitor experience and what our region should be as a destination, and New Kent residents ages 18 and up are invited to participate, and I would like to send that to Mr. Hathaway to get out on our county social media. I put it on my Stewart for Supervisor social media, but I really feel like sometimes New Kent is the small dog at the pound with Richmond Region Tourism, and I would like to show up with a big presence as we are getting on the map with more than just, not just wineries, but more than wineries and the horses. So I encourage everyone to participate. And then just wanted to share, thank you. I don't know if she's still here, but Heather Mae Dombrowski really put a lot of effort into the 250th Faith and Freedom commemoration the first week of July that I know Mr. Hathaway, some of our Sheriff's Department, Fire and Rescue got to participate in. I thought that was a really great event despite the air conditioning going out when it was 100 degrees outside. I felt like it was a really nice opportunity for us to reflect on the very giant part that New Kent played in the founding of the United States. So just want to share some appreciation for that, and otherwise just happy to be here.
Thanks. Ms. Pearson?
Sure. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out to the town hall last Thursday, July the 9th. We had a great turnout, and I appreciate all of the input from all of the citizens. I also wanted to mention that on tomorrow at 6 o'clock here in the New Kent County Administration Building, there will be a New Kent County Historic Commission Community Historic Site Preservation Subcommittee, and that will be headed up by Sarah DeTruitt and Pamela Rudwani. Unfortunately, I can't make that meeting, but please come out and listen to them. They're great historians for the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Mr. Moyer?
I don't have anything. Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Wow. Mr. Evelyn?
I'd just like to echo Ms. Pearson and thank her as well for Thursday night, and especially everyone that came out. We had a great turnout to the town hall. I thank all of our volunteers that helped support, keep it organized as best as it could. I know we apologize that everybody couldn't get in there. We didn't realize it was going to be that much of a turnout, but we were glad to have it. And thanks to Mr. Hathaway for putting the speakers outside, so at least if they were there, they could at least hear what we were talking about. So. Again, thank you, and thank everybody for being here this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Evelyn. I don't have anything to report at this time. Next on the agenda is appointments delegated by district. Are there any?
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes,
Moyer?
Mr. Chair, I have one. I move to appoint Atlanta Callwood Hernandez as a District 2 representative to the Social Services Advisory Board to serve a 4-year term beginning July 1, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2030. And I'd also like to thank Danny Green for his 2 times being this member for 2 terms, and I appreciate his service.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Any other appointments? Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Next is appointments not delegated by district. There are none. Appointments, regional boards and commissions.
I have one, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I move to appoint Karen Stein as District 2 representative to the Heritage Library Board of Trustees to complete a 4-year term ending June 30th, 2029. I'd like to thank Dina Pollard for taking this role before, and also Karen Stein is our librarian at Quinton Elementary.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Ms. Watkins, would you poll the members?
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Any other business? Satisfied? The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Supervisors will be held at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, August the 12th, 2026, and the next work session will be held at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, July 28th, 2026, both in the boardroom of the County Administration Building. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved. So moved. So moved. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Ms. Watkins, you poll the members?
Mr. Evelyn?
Aye.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Stewart?
Aye.
And Mr. Steers?
Aye. Good night to everyone, and thanks all of you for coming.